In today's video, I'll explain some basic K-pop terms, from bias to positions such as main vocal, lead vocal, subvocal, and so on. So keep watching if you want to find out more. Hello, this is Mari, and for today on I'll be uploading my content under the name Miss K Wonderland, the K standing for Korea and for K-pop. So I thought it would be a great start to upload my first episode of K-pop 101. And I have a lot to say about this matter, so let's just get right into it. Well, the K stands for Korean pop. There are different genres they can use, such as R&B, rock, hip-hop, and even a combination between them. It's more than just music, it's a whole entertainment industry that involves high skill level of dancing, fashion, and even entertainment shows. So it's not unusual for when they have a new album that they have to appear on a variety show for 30 to 50 minutes, where they have to show off their professional entertainment skills. When someone auditions, they have a big variety of entertainment companies to choose from, but the most well-known ones are the big three, and those are called JYP, SM, and YG. While some argue that YG is now currently overtaken by Big Hit, you can't really argue that, all in all, they still had a really big impact on K-pop as it is today. When they get to the audition, they have to train for a couple of years. This is in general 2 to 3, but it can be less or a lot more depending on the training they need. Do keep in mind though, a lot of people have the idea that K-pop idols are really loaded, but for most of them, whenever they finally did go through the training, they have to pay it all back. So in the beginning they may hardly make even money to begin with. You sometimes can get to see the trainees during their training period, and that's through survival shows, since they've become a lot more popular lately. And you can pretty much see it as a reality show where they eliminate people. So the trainees go up against each other in order to debut, and you get to see about everything they struggle through and what they've been through in order to gain what they want, in order to accomplish their dreams. And when they finally do make their debut, they're known as a rookie group in the beginning, so for the first year they're rookie groups. But sometimes people also use the term nugu, and that's more used for when a group is not very well known, or when they haven't had their win yet, or when they're just unpopular or underrated. That's also a right term. So sometimes incorrectly used, they're used for new groups, but it's more like the ones that are not popular yet. So if you want to find out more about underrated groups, then you can look for nugu, which literally translates to who in Korean. I'm thinking of making a video about it in the future, so if you're interested about that, let me know in the comments below. So you decide to become a fan of a certain group. Another term that can be used is stan, which is said to have come from the song Stan by Eminem. They're usually active on Twitter, and that part of social media is called Stan Twitter. It can be divided up even more into categories, so you have a soft stan, a hard stan, solo stan, multi-stan. So let me just explain those in a little more detail. So the hard stan is the one who more sees the members in a sexual way, and they get really excited about when they do this grinding movement on the floor, or just sexy concepts, or seeing their abs or parts of the bodies and so on. And then you have the soft stan, who sees them more in a protective way or in a daring way, and just wants to take care of them and wants them to succeed in their dreams and loves their smells and so on. But it doesn't have to be so black and white, so you can have a bit of a hard stan and a bit of a soft stan, or you can be like half-half, or just a bit soft stan and mostly hard stan, or just like any combination is possible. But I have to admit that I'm just soft stan. I hardly have any hard stan in me, just that's not me. But to each their own. Then you also have the solo stan, and this can be confused with when you stan just one group, because you have people who just only support one group. So they're, for example, only Stray Kids stans, or only GOT7 fans, or only BEP fans, and so on. But a solo stan is when you support only one member from one group and don't care about the rest. So you're just there to support that one member. Then you have multi-stans, who are fan of many different groups. Can be 2, can be 3, or can be 30, just a bigger amount. Apart from calling yourself stan, you also get your own fandom name. Though this is not in the beginning yet, as then they still have to grow the following and grow their fandom. But later on you get your own fandom name. And apart from just sounding cute, it usually has a meaning behind it. For example, you have GOT7, which means got, the past tense from get, and 7 is seen as a lucky number in Korea. So the name means 7 lucky people together forever. And then the fandom name, it's either I got 7 or Agase, and Agase comes from I got 7, which means that you have both got 7 and luck. So that's the meaning behind it. So it's not just a cute name, but usually has a meaning behind it as well. And then you have the fandom color. For GOT7 it's green, and then you have different varieties of colors for other groups. Sometimes they use 2 colors, and they can be used, for example, when they bring out a light stick. So when you go to the concert and everything, at least if everyone has a light stick, which is not always the case, but then you're surrounded by that light of your fandom color. That's also something really good about it. So you decide to stand in a certain group and want to get to know the members better. I'm actually planning to upload a video very soon where I'm starting to get to learn new members and my tips and tricks for that. So I'll leave it somewhere up here. But for today I'll just be talking about the positions they can have and the functionality behind it. So if a member has certain positions, that means what kind of role they have in the group. I'm going to start with the main ones, which are the leader, maknae, visual and face of the group. So the leader is the one who motivates and helps the other members out. He can act as a spokesperson for the group, and he also communicates between the members, especially when there's like a fight or argument and so on. Usually the leader is the one with a serious, mature and charismatic aura, because they're also the ones who have the most responsibility within the group. And how it's decided who gets to be the leader really usually depends on the age. In general they go for the oldest or second oldest, but it can also be the middle person in some cases, because they will be better bridge between communicating between the young generation and the older generation, even though it's just in Korea, even though it's just a couple of years apart, like 2 years makes a big difference in Korea. And then you have the maknae, which is literally the youngest person, and even though they usually have an older line, which are the oldest of the groups, and they are called either young line or oni line, or you have the young line, which is maknae line, and the youngest members of the group. There's only just one person who gets the maknae line title, maknae title, and that's literally the youngest of the group. So the second youngest or the third youngest can't be the maknae, it's just the youngest. Then you have the visual, and there's some arguments about this title because literally all members are usually very gorgeous, and sometimes people use visual, but I've never seen anyone that makes me think like, whoa, you're ugly. They're in general all very pretty. But a visual is usually decided on the member who fits the Korean beauty standards most of all. So that's in general having a small face, having a V-shape face, like a V-shape. I'm not sure how to say it, but like this part of your face has to be V-shaped. Having double eyelids, having a high nose bridge. Those are, I think, all the standards that Korean beauty standards that they have to live up to in order to be a visual of the group. In general, it's just one, even though all members are pretty. But there are some exceptions. I know that 80s is one of them. They have more than one visual. Then you have the face of the group, which can be a bit confusing with visual, because they pull interests towards their group. But instead of just looks, it's based on the charm they have. So it's not just their appearance, it's a certain charm they have that pulls interest for other people towards their group. And they usually get invited to variety shows or act as a spokesperson for the group. And they can be the visual. The visual can be the face of the group as well, or it can be the leader, or it can be the most popular member. So it kind of depends. Sometimes the face of the group can be different for each era. Okay, so next I'm gonna talk about certain lines that are in a group. So you have the vocal line, the rap line, dance line. Though it can be different for certain companies and for certain groups, because I know that some don't have a really steady dance line, and sometimes they're a bit more flexible for the positions. For example, sometimes someone is in a rap line but also does the singing, or sometimes some companies are more strict and then they have the rap line who only does rap, or the vocal line who only does vocal and never does rap, for example. But it really depends on the company and on the group. And within those lines, there are like sublines. So you have, for example, on the vocal, you have the main vocal, lead, and the sub vocal. And at first this really confused me, especially the main and the lead. But let me explain a bit more about it. So you have the main vocal, and that member of those members, depends on if there is one or more, is seen as the one with the best skill. So they usually get the most lines, and they do either the chorus and or the most difficult parts of the song. Then you have the lead vocal, and that member or those members is seen as the second best of the group. And they usually sing before the main vocal, but they can also get chorus parts. The main vocal isn't the only one who gets chorus parts, it can also be the lead one. And then you have the sub vocal, and that's the one who gets the least lines and is there to support the main and the lead vocal. And it's something, the rap is pretty much similar, so you have the main rap, lead rapper, sub rapper. The main one is the one who's seen with the best rapping skills and gets, of course, the most rapping parts. But he or she is in general also the one who can write lyrics for the songs. Then you have the lead rapper, which is the second best. And then you have the sub rapper. The lead rapper is also similar to the vocal, by the way. Usually starts the rap before the main rapper. And then you have the sub rapper, who is better than the ones who don't have a rap position, but not as good as the one who have a main or a lead rapping position. Then you have the dance line, but for dance you just have the main dancer and a lead dancer, so no sub dancer. As far as I know, no such thing. And the difference with that is the main dancer is again the one who's seen as the most skilled, and usually the one who gets the solo dances. And then the lead dancer is the one who's seen as second best, and usually when they dance in a group is the one who dances on front. So that's a bit more of an explanation within the lines of the groups. Then you also have center, but that position can be different depending on each era. A center can be someone who is either a visual, who is good at a certain skill or is popular and so on. So it can be different for each era. Sometimes they have a very steady center position, but sometimes it can be different for each album release. Okay, now that if you've known the members and the position a little better, I'm gonna talk about a bias. And you usually don't pick your bias, your bias picks you. And I'm laughing, but I actually speak from experience that is wholly the truth. For some of my biases, I had no say in it whatsoever. They just pretty much came up to me like, I'm your bias now, and that's just how it is. Deal with it. In fact, I'm slowly getting into the icon fan base. I'm slowly becoming iconic because someone that I really care about, she really likes icon, and she's been getting me into the fandom. And she's already saying, even though I don't know the members that well yet, that Jungwon decided they're going to be my biases. But in general, a bias is your favorite member, and they are the ones who usually you're either attracted to, or the one you admire the most, or the one who you just find cute or funny, or just the one who gets your attention. That's your bias. Then you have an alt, which stands for ultimate. So if you stand different groups, if you have different biases from different groups, then your favorite amongst all those biases is your alt. You can pretty much say that he or she is the king or queen from your biases. The next thing, you have a bias wrecker. And that's the member, whenever you look at that one, that makes you forget about your bias or makes you question your bias choice. But still, you like them a lot, but not on the same level as your bias. Though if you're not careful, they might actually steal that position, so just so you know. Then the next thing I'm gonna talk about is the bias line. So usually they're made of three members. But sometimes people have more, because sometimes people have more biases or more records and so on. So for me, for example, my bias line from Stray Kids is Sunshine line. So my biases are Felix and Seungmin. And then my main record is Han. So that's my bias line for Stray Kids. And for Astro, for example, is Young line, because Anwoo is my main bias, and then my records are MJ and Jin. So that's my bias line for Astro and so on. So now that you're a fan and you got to know the members have a bias and have a record, and you're all ready for their comeback, and it doesn't mean that they haven't released music for a long time or they've been out of work for a long time. This is what all their album releases or whenever they have new songs is called. It's their comeback. And usually this involves a whole new look and a new concept as well. So whenever you see fans getting all excited because they have a new haircut or have a new hair color, that's usually because they know there's going to be new songs to be released. So next time you see that, then you know why. And the whole time they spend promoting that, so the whole time they have that comeback and release like songs and videos and so on, that can be called an era. So whenever someone asks you, when did you become a fan of that group? So for example, if someone asks me, when did you start becoming a fixed stan? I would be able to say I've been standing them since the Shangri-La era. Or when someone would ask me, since when did you become a MIDZY, which is the fandom name of ITZY, then I would be able to say I've been a fan of them since the debut era, or I can say I've been a fan for them since Dalla era. And I've been a fan of Chaeryeong since pre-debut era. So that's just an example. But they can have different concepts for each era. And it can be cute, it can be fun, can be bad guy, girl crush, sexy, retro and so on. There's many different options. But one thing I want to point out is that lots of people, well not lots of people, but people can be a bit confused about the bad boy girl crush versus sexy concept. And a good way to see a difference between them is you have ITZY Dalla Dalla, and that's a very typical girl crush concept. Then you have, and I'm not really sure how to pronounce the name, so I'm sorry in advance, but AOA with miniskirt or Miss A with hush, that's a very typical sexy concept. So that's maybe how you can distinguish the difference between those two. So yeah, once the group you like has a comeback, you can promote them or help them out in different ways. This can be done either by you buying the album, you can stream the songs, you can stream their music videos on different platforms, you can talk about it on social media for a certain more awareness, you can even vote on them for a certain poll so they can get more awards, and you can use hashtags on Twitter, a group comeback, and you have different things you can do. But all in all, I would like to point out that it's just the most important thing is to just enjoy the music, because that's what the artist themselves would like as well. Please don't feel too pressured, because I know that sometimes fans can be a bit overbearing. They're really like, oh, you have to stream this for the entire day, you have to stream this for, I don't know, for like every single minute of your day, you have to vote on all the different polls, you have to buy all the albums. But and all in all, I just think that the most important thing is that you just support them in the way that you find comfortable, whether it's streaming, buying albums, or just talking about them, or just listening to the music. Just support them however you feel comfortable with. Well, that's it for today. If you have any more questions, then feel free to ask me in the comments down below, and I'll make sure to answer it. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye for now!